Origins, Tracing the Roots of Success, One Leader at a Time. A series that goes beyond titles and accolades to uncover the real stories behind great leaders. Success isn't just about milestones. It's about the experiences, challenges, and values that shape visionaries. Through this series, we explore the defining moments, early influences, and leadership philosophies that have driven some of the most inspiring minds. What fuels their ambition? What lessons shaped their path? And how do they continue to impact the world? This is Origins, where leadership meets legacy.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and all the viewers of Indian Conventions. Welcome to Origins, Tracing the Root of Success, One Leader at a Time, an exclusive leadership series by Indian Conventions. Today, we have privilege of speaking with a distinguished leader who has transformed the healthcare leadership in India and beyond, Mr. Subramanyam Yadavalli. Mr. Yadavalli is a seasoned executive with over 35 years of experience in healthcare leadership. As a CEO International at Apollo Hospitals, he has played a pivotal role in establishing world-class hospitals, emergency response systems, telemedicine centers, not only in India's Tier 1 cities, but also in Tier 2 and Tier 3 regions. His leadership extends globally, including overseeing cardiac hospitals in Bahrain, managing multi-special hospitals abroad. Throughout his career, he has managed large hospitals across numerous hospitals and contributed significantly to medical education as a director for Mediversity University. Beyond his corporate leadership, Mr. Yadavalli has deeply committed to philanthropy, actively supporting organizations like Sonu Sood Charitable Foundation, Save a Child's Heart Foundation, Sahi for Deaf Children, and Cure Foundation for cancer patients. He is also a keynote speaker at international conferences, a visiting faculty in institutions like Berkeley University and ASCI. Mr. Yadavalli, it's truly an honor to have you with us today. Welcome.
Thank you so much. My pleasure. And thank you so much for this introduction. Thank you so much, Mr. Rijvi, for connecting with us. Thank you.
So today we want to step beyond the professional milestones and explore the journey that shaped you, the early influences, defining moments, and the value that made you the true leader that you are today. So, sir, with your permission, can we begin the interaction?
Yes.
Sir,
go ahead, please.
We, as an individual, we are reflections of the people that we are with, the circumstances that we have been in, the challenges we have faced, the way we have grown over a period of time. So the first segment is early life influences that you have. So, sir, we would like to understand from your childhood and your youth, how was the journey like and what were the defining moments, your family values, your personal experiences that influenced your leadership style. We would like to know a little more from your personal experiences. Professionally, we know you are established professional, so people would like to know the real Mr. Yadavalli.
Yes, thank you. I don't know where to begin, but I will begin with my earlier days. I belong to a very, very humble middle class family. My father was an electrical engineer. But it's a very, very large family for us in those days. So I couldn't get a chance to study in convent schools and go to the good schools sort of thing. I started my studies in a very, very small government high school where we are sitting more with the nature, because for the entire school, we had only 4 classrooms. So most of the times we were under the trees reading, understanding more of that sort. So 10th, if you really look at, I failed in 10th class, in those days. And 10th class is something which is the mark in those days that, if you are doing well in 10th class, then that's something you're fantastic. But if you have failed, you're a failure in the system. That's it. So I failed, but luckily I got through that because the state government said, there is in those days the percentage of pass percentage was very, very less. So the state government said, this time the percentage of passing is very, very less. So we will do some moderation of 5 marks. So I got through that and, able to this thing. But I am from a Telugu medium school. Then I went to intermediate for an English medium school. So I couldn't understand what it was actually. So, but, we somehow scraped through. First year of my degree, intermediate, I always wanted to become a doctor. From the beginning, my passion towards healthcare is very, very high. So I always wanted to become a doctor, get into the healthcare sort of thing. So when I'm in intermediate, somehow I convinced my father to send me to a tutorial college to prepare for the medical entrance. I failed in that. I went into degree. First year of my degree, my father retired. So there was no choice. So during my course of action, when I'm doing my 3 years of degree, the second year onwards, I had to work. So I started working as a contractor for pole painting, because my father was from electricity board. So I used to do the pole painting across the streets, go there, paint the poles and, do that sort of thing and make some money for my own education and for my family also. So that was the 3 years tenure. So then that episode was over. So, but I wanted to go back into the healthcare because that was something which is very, very near to my heart. So I joined one of the diagnostic centers as a ward boy. My career was a ward boy. So that ward boy is, who
Yes.
transport patients, who gives chai to others, you know, uh, serving chai sometimes make you very famous. So, so that's, so I used to do all that, clean the place, give chai to others, take care of the patients. But, during that time, I learned how to do a CT scans also. So the organization promoted me as a CT technician that time. So that was the only CT scan center across AP. That was a combined state. So lots of interaction with doctors used to happen, Then the organization recognized that, I can become a marketing guy. So I've chosen marketing into that. Then they made me the in charge of the center. So during this time, I started studying also. I finished my MBA from Chennai while working. Then suddenly one day I had chance to get into Apollo ecosystem where I wrote to Mrs. Sangeeta Reddy that time. So she said, yeah, let's meet and understand what you can do. So I went there. Then, I started my career into marketing of Apollo Hospital. That time, this is the second flagship hospital in Hyderabad. So about 35 years ago. So how to establish a corporate hospital in India is that itself is a major thing because prior to Apollo, there was no corporate medicine in India. The corporate medicine started only by Dr. P.C. Reddy Garu. So we had lots of struggles, establishing brand of Apollo. So while doing this, I finished my studies in IIM Bangalore, IIM Ahmedabad, Berkeley. So a series of management courses I could able to do. So from a marketing, I moved into operations. From there to an administrator for one of the hospitals of theirs. Then I become general manager operations, COO, then CEO, then the regional CEO. Now I take care of. I'm a CEO international for the group now.
Wow.
So that's my journey. So it's not very fanciful journey for me, but at every point, there was a learning. At every point, there is something. That resilience is something which is always looked at. Lots of learnings from various people. So this is more or less my journey.
Amazing, sir. So it's very difficult for people to own up in a public interview that somehow couldn't make it through your board examinations. And somehow I too have gathered courage, and I would like to tell you I failed in my class 12th. so,
People who
so,
failed initially, they do very well,
yeah.
including Apple CEO. So he's also dropped out. So don't worry. So
So
that
it's like it brings a different perspective to life. Failure is very important, and I think you are an inspiration in yourself, and people. I think this video should reach out to the youngsters as well who are struggling through things just to make careers, and they are very scared of failures. And a lot of mental well-being issues are because they can't face the failures. So failures don't stop you, but if you learn from them, you can be the CEO for International Apollo Hospital. So that's great, sir. So, sir, next thing we would like to understand is that any of the names or any of the people who you would like to talk about today as your biggest role models and mentors while you're growing up.
see, there are. I always feel that there are four people who have actually, shaped my life. One is, of course, my mother who gave me birth, and I learned a lot of things. She was just she studied second class in a very very small village, but she is the person who managed the entire family of 30 people with a very very meager salary of 150 rupees of my father. Her balance sheet is always on the positive side, despite of the inflow of this thing. So it's very amazing how she managed. So I learned a lot of things from her. She used to teach me all those values. How do you manage? All these things. So I belong to a generation where we had lots of learnings which have happened from our parents and grandparents. That generation, we always had that advantage of doing that because these are all combined families. So that was something which has happened. Second is, of course, my father. My father is somebody whom I really learned, how do you embrace failures and but still you can move forward. That's something, he's the greatest example for me throughout my life. Even today, I look back and understand, yeah, if my father would have been there, he would have taken this decision for this particular situation. So let me follow that. I blindly follow. That's something which I always feel. My wife is somebody who has given me lots of support to be what I am today from a uh, point of, in fact, I must tell you at this point of time that she was my first boss in that diagnostic center. When
Wow.
I was working, she was the marketing manager, so I worked under her. So that's a long story again, which went into a different. So I learned something from her. The My professional journey of this 35 years, if I have to give one mentor, it is Dr. Sangeeta Reddy. Uh, I can tell you that whatever I am today, at professional level and at a personal level or wherever it is, I think Dr. Sangeeta Reddy is one mentor whom I feel, that whatever I am today is because of her. In my professional life, I can say it very proudly. I can say very candidly this, whatever the learnings I have today, whatever my understanding about the healthcare space in across the globe, or whatever the support I got from her and actual mentorship, it is like a teacher student, it's like Gurukul. I must say
Right.
that. So
Right.
that's the way she taught us, and so I think one single person whom I can very proudly say is Dr. Sangeeta Reddy in my life. I think I owe everything to her, whatever I am today.
Wonderful, sir. So parents are always inspiration for kids, but your first boss is still your boss. That is something,
Absolutely.
one important thing, and it's very important that you get correct breaks at the correct time, and your bosses recognize you, and they value you through the system. So, hats off to Dr. Sangeeta Reddy for, identifying you at that stage. I'll just go back to, I also started my career from Hyderabad. I don't know whether I told you or not. So at that point of time, the dot-com burst happened, and we went to Hyderabad because we felt that, okay, if you are in Hyderabad, the next stop is US. But because of dot-com burst, it didn't work out, and all the people who were passing out from their MBAs, either they were selling credit cards or home loans. So at that point of time, one gentleman, his name is Dr. Ashok Kedia, he was the one who gave me my first break, and it transformed everything from the vision that he gave. He changed the perspective from being a salesperson to being on the strategic side. And at the age of 23, when you get that exposure, it becomes a little different, and life changes completely. So, nice to hear about all the four people and who made this thing happen for you.
I am very fortunate that I have a mentor like Dr. Sangeeta Reddy in my life.
Absolutely.
My mentor, she's my philosopher. In fact, I don't know whether I can mention this and this forum, that my father always used to tell me that, whenever you sit for your meal, you first think and pray for that person who has given you this meal for you today.
Wow.
So till today, for last 35 years, 40 years, for the two meals I sit, I pray for Dr. Sangeeta Reddy and have my food, because this is what my father taught me.
Yeah.
And he said, this is the value you should always have. So that's the thing.
Gratitude to the giver is the most important thing in life.
Yes.
Amazing, sir. Amazing learning from your father. With this, we'll move to a little on the career side and various pivotal moments that you had in past 35 years as a leader in healthcare. So, what was the turning point of your career that brought you to the limelight, and from your marketing career, it led to the CXO's cabin? So, any key things that you would like to talk about it, and some of the key decisions that you took, that made you move forward in life and career?
Yes.
Biggest challenges, sir?
Actually, if you ask me, when we joined healthcare about 35 years ago, especially with Apollo, every day was a challenge, if you ask me, honestly, because in those days, the health was understood by the public as it is a state subject. So it has to come free of cost. Why should we pay for healthcare? That's the set of ideas people used to have. The second thing is, we had lots of competition, lots of challenges with the existing nursing homes and all. They all felt that, we are taking away their business and we are eating away their business. So they are the biggest. In fact, there was less collaboration, but more of these fights. So everything, and the doctors who are practicing in smaller clinics, they used to feel that, threatened, that, the bigger hospitals will do. So every day is a challenge, Mr. Rijvi, in those days, to establish a brand which can give you a multi-specialty dimension in your healthcare needs. And yet you need to be friends with the smaller nursing homes, secondary care hospital, primary care hospitals, is a major challenge. So every day is a learning for us. So a couple of things probably, what made us very successful is that to understand that everybody has their own space in this world, and recognize that space, and be collaborative. I think this is what we learned from our chairman, Dr. P.C. Reddy Garu. Lots of decisions which I've taken in those days, if you ask me which are those things which have really shaped this thing, is collaborative work with the referral doctors, collaborative work with the insurance companies. Health insurance penetration was only 2% in that time, 1.5% to 2%. So then the corporate world, how do you get connected with the corporate world? These are certain decisions, strategic moves which we did that time is something which helped us and helped me personally because I could able to uh, travel across India to understand different regions, different cultures, different way of functionings. One major episode which I must tell you is that one day, when we were doing, when we are in the hospital, Dr. P.C. Reddy Garu came, Dr. Pratap C. Reddy, our beloved chairman. He came and he asked me, Subramanyam, do you know there is a lot of market potential in Bihar? That time, Hyderabad to Bihar,
Yeah.
imagine. The visionaries are, that's the reason, we call them,
Yes. Yes.
they are visionaries. So I said, sir, I never heard of Bihar. I never went to Bihar, but I heard a lot of horrible stories and very dangerous stories about Bihar in those days. Everything
Yeah. Yeah. It was.
related to only that state, unfortunately, though it is not really true. When I
No, it's
went there,
not. It's not.
when I went there, I realized it's a much more safer place than any other place, actually speaking.
Yeah, it's the
So
perception that builds up.
perception. So chairman said, no, you go there and understand how do we collaborate our works there. So I had to travel 2 days from here to BR, go to Calcutta to take another train to Patna, then, start understanding how we do that. By the end of 1 year, we could able to establish the brand Apollo across Bihar. And, we used to get lots of people from Bihar to Hyderabad all the way to get their treatments done.
Wow.
So these are certain things, probably, if you ask me, you need to follow a visionary.
Absolutely.
Don't question visionaries on your suboptimal logics. So don't do that. That's great learning I had in my life. Don't look at too much of logic in when you are following a guru, when you are following a visionary, when you are following a legend. Those things made me what I am today.
Wow. And the kind of infrastructure that he created is phenomenal. And there have been too many followers, and they were the pioneers who built, actually created the industry and gave
Absolutely.
a vision. It was Apollo is like one of the first names that comes to when you talk about healthcare India. We'll not name anyone else, but everyone followed the pattern, and that's the leadership style that they have and created. And it's so fortunate to have people who lived the same on the same land and the same time that we are with. And
And
you,
I'm so fortunate to get a mentorship directly
yes,
from a person like our beloved chairman and directly from Dr. Sangeeta, who have
absolutely,
shaped the entire healthcare landscape in India.
absolutely.
I think I feel very, very privileged and fortunate to learn these things from them directly.
The power of leaders and magic of leaders, and with mentors that you have now, it's time to pass on your leadership and mentorship to the next generation. So we would like to ask, as a mentor to health tech startups and board member for Medversity, what advice do you give to the young professionals and entrepreneurs looking to make an impact in healthcare? And how do you approach leadership and guiding the diverse teams across multiple locations? Because now, initially, you spoke about establishing the setups in India, especially you spoke about Bihar, and now you're talking about Tashkent and various geographical locations, including Bahrain, that we spoke about earlier. So, how do you manage all that, and what are your word of advice for the young professionals in healthcare space?
Actually, it's a very interesting question, Mr. Rijvi. Over my experience in this particular field, in fact, I mentor more than 8 companies, startups at this point of time. Uh, what I always tell the youngsters is do something which your society wants. Do something which your society requires at that point of time. You can build on that, but don't do something which your your community doesn't require it. See,
Yes.
Apollo is a story, a success story today because that time chairman recognized that India requires a super specialty hospitals where our people are going abroad and getting it done at that point of time, and everybody cannot afford to go abroad and get it done. In fact, he lost one young man when he was treating and about to send that person to, for a bypass surgery to abroad, but he lost the young man before he moved to, the other destination. That's when he recognized that we require something like this. So I think, that recognition of what your immediate community requires, your society requires, is something which we need to invest.
Right.
That is something which you need to work on that. We may have lots of fancy ideas, but have some reality check at every point of time of what you are doing, whether is it impacting your society. Is your society respecting you for the what you are doing? Is your society is receiving what you are doing and impacting their own families? Healthcare is, impacting somebody's life because somebody is giving their life into your hand. Somebody is putting their trust into, the entire family trust into your hands. So unless you are very impactful, unlike other areas, health is only one time this thing. It is not that, yeah, I do something now, but if it doesn't work, tomorrow I'll do something else. No, it doesn't. You lost the person by the time you do
Yeah.
something else. So you need to be more responsible. If you want to do something in healthcare, you need to be very responsible. Healthcare is not something a easy cakewalk. You have lots of challenges in healthcare because you are dealing with human beings, unlike others. Essentially, it is human beings, it is doctors, it is nurses, it is technicians, it is ambulances, it is patients, less of this thing. So we need to be very, very careful, very responsible while taking any product, any decision, how much it is impacting. So that is my first suggestion to any youngsters who wants to get into this space. Second is, please understand today, technology is something which we have to use. Whether we like it or not, technology is something which is very important. But at the same time, you cannot replace a doctor and nurse with the technology. So it has to be a complementary thing. So don't get into a fanciful idea. Tomorrow we will not have doctors in this society, nurses in this society. So we build something, one environment which can, without these people, we can treat patient. That's a wrong concept. You need doctors, you need technicians, you need nurses to treat patients because they are human beings. They are not machines. But technology is very important to do a better job than what you're doing at this point. So we use a lot of AI in our ICU setups today. With the AI intervention, we are able to predict sepsis, onset of sepsis 8 hours before. So when you know 8 hours before the patient may get into sepsis, your outcome much will be more clear because you are intervening before only.
Yep.
So that is the technology which you need to look at. How do we do predictive analysis? How do you look at the disease progression? So my suggestion to youngsters is do something which is impactful, but do something which you are not doing something to replace somebody. You are complementing in the patient recovery journey. So anything you contribute in patient recovery journey, you are successful. The outcome, ultimately, the outcome is the thing.
That's a wonderful advice, to be engaged and do the things that society needs. And in line with that, the next question that I have, that you have been a part of philanthropy, and you also do leadership beyond business, and you have been part of various philanthropic initiatives like Sonu Sood Charitable Foundation and Save Child Heart Foundation. How has giving back shaped your perspective on leadership and personal fulfillment? And what motivates you to be engaged in the social impact projects despite the demanding professional role that you have, and you are constantly engaged with it?
See, what I learned is, at least, whenever you do these things, you feel extremely, extremely happy. And, when you give back to the society. And also, it will actually enhance your leadership skill. Once you start giving back to the society where you have come, I think that enhances your thought process, that will give you that power of becoming much, much more stronger in the society. Number one. Number two, lots of learnings of, how do you do this sort of things during COVID, especially when I worked very closely with the Sonu Sood, the charitable trust and all, uh, even out of 100, you can able to help two people. That's a fantastic thing you feel. You go
Yeah,
back home and, sleep so peacefully that you say that, yeah, at least two people survived with whatever the small thing I could able to do. The third thing is, if you are not able to give back to the society where you have grown, then you have no role to be a human being. Because all other things, other than human beings, everybody can do. This, except that giving back to the society and, do something more impactful, the human beings can do much more. In fact, if you ask me, I'm sorry, it is other way around. Everybody, other than human beings, everybody gives. Like, the trees gives fruits without expecting anything. The water
absolutely.
flows to your house without expecting. The air, gives you oxygen. Everything everybody does. The cattle does so much of work for us. So human beings, I think, that's a very important thing that we should give back to the society where you have come back. That will make you more stronger, more innovative, because a leader has to be an innovative. Unless you start giving back to the society, do some philanthropy, you will never be able to be innovative. Look at the greatest leaders across the globe. The philanthropy and the giving back to the society, comes in front. Like, you talk about Ratan Tata today, you no more think about the steel.
Yes,
You think something else for him. So it's that's the leadership. It need not be, because, we are very busy, so, you just start earning money sort of thing. I think unless you start giving back, you can't be a leader. For you to be
amazing.
a leader, you have to give back.
And mostly what human beings do is that whatever things are coming for free, we try to sell it and make livelihood for ourselves. So it's a very good thing that we should give, and giving gives a lot of uh, innovative things, and help people grow along with us. So contribution to society is the most important thing. And so, with this, we are coming to the concluding question. That's the future of healthcare and your vision. So, looking ahead, what innovations or changes do you foresee in the healthcare sector over the next decade? And what legacy do you hope to leave behind in the healthcare industry? That is the last one that we wish to hear from you.
I think I will answer you the second question first.
Okay.
The legacy which probably I will give is, remember that healthcare is something which you are responsible, and somebody's life is in your hand. So you need to be that much of responsible. So anybody who is in healthcare, we need to understand that. So I think that's the legacy which we need to follow. We always followed that from our chairman and Dr. Sangeeta Reddy. So probably that is something which we need to understand and follow. The first question which you have asked me about the future of healthcare, I think future of healthcare is more on genomics, more on predictive analysis, more on disease progressions, more on how much we can make healthcare accessible and equitable. So these technologies should be able to help healthcare across the globe, that how these, the health can become more equitable and accessible to various segments. There are, even today you see across the globe, lot of people, they're not getting what, healthcare they need to get. So I think, future is more on whether it is AI, whether it is telemedicine, whether it is genomics, whether it's predictive, whatever we call. I think ultimately the aim is to make sure it is equitable, healthcare is accessible to every section of people. I think that's the future. I think I'm very happy that that's happening now. When I'm working with projects with telemedicine, AI projects across the globe, this is something which is very, very predominant now. And I think that's the future now. Yes.
One last thought that just came to me. What is the difference that you see from the days that you started your career and the healthcare today in terms of reach to the masses, in terms of accessibility? Let's talk only about India because we are in India and that makes more sense for our people.
It is more accessible at this point of time than what I saw. See, the mere this thing is now you have more good hospitals available for people, more schemes. Government is now aware.
Yes.
If you really look at health, private healthcare is grown because government also recognizes that, accessibility happens not only with the government but with the collaborative work which we do
Yes.
with the private players. So I think that is something which is very positive, which I see. Penetration of health, in health insurance is another thing in terms of accessibility and all. It is becoming big now. So people are more aware that in those days, it is only 1%, 2% of people used to take health insurance income. And the rest of the thing is, more of the, people used to come with money and, the people who can afford, they can't afford, they can't afford. But today, it is not that. Today, it is slightly different. You have insurance, you have government schemes, you have Ayushman Bharat, you have Arogyasri, you have various things. So accessibility has become much, much bigger at this point of time. The advent of, most of these technological tools like telemedicine has improved a lot of areas. Tele ICUs, where the doctors are not there, but, managed through the technology, at least, is happening now. So accessibility is much more better over a period of time now, and it will be much more in future.
Thank you, Mr. Yadavalli, for sharing the incredible journey. And other than that, the insights that you shared, plus the inspiring stories and the learnings from your parents, your father, and your first boss, your wife, and Dr. Sangeeta Reddy and Reddy Garu for the way he has nurtured you as a leader. And we love the philosophies of life that you have and the generosity that you have shown and being humble at the same time. It's a truly inspiring story for all of us to hear. And thanks for opening up on our show. And we wish all the success to you in your future endeavors. And we wish that you create more leaders like you in the future. And
Mr.
thanks
Rijvi,
once.
no, Mr. Rijvi, I
Sure,
think last point I would like to
sure, please, sir.
mention to youngsters. In fact, when you brought this, uh, humbleness is something which is the permanent thing. If you are
Nice.
humble, you become, a real leader. Gandhiji was Gandhiji today because of his humbleness. It is not because of any other thing, it is because he was humble. If you really look at in any storm, the bigger trees will fall but grass never falls. Grass is already grounded,
Right.
It knows it survives. Grass is the thing which survives, but not the bigger trees. So be humble, be grounded, understand the philosophy of nature. Nature is come to you with certain rules and regulations. Respect those rules and regulations of the nature, so you will be happy. Don't go against the rules and regulations of the nature. Nature has created certain system for us. So let's move into that and be humble. Very correctly, you said, if you are not a humble person, you are never a leader. You can't be
Absolutely.
a leader without humbleness.
So grass was the most amazing example that you spoke about, because we in our show we are talking about origins
Yes.
of the people who are successful, and we are trying to trace the roots. And you've rightly brought us to a place when you compared the humbleness to grass that always stands, and the stronger trees might fall in storms. So thank you, sir. Thanks once again for being a part of origins, tracing the root of success one leader at a time.
Thank
Thanks
you.
from the team Indian Conventions.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.